Well, hello guys, welcome back. Thank you to everyone who stuck by me. The past few weeks have been a tough one, but yes, I'm here bringing you content. Don't fear, nonetheless, we're going to be taking a look at Bleach, and we're going to be doing episodes 1 to 20 from the anime series, so do bear with us. Let's jump right into it. So Rukia, a soul reaper, senses strong spiritual pressure nearby. Ichigo, at 15 years old, he is a student and he protects the neighborhood spirits. His family run a medical clinic, and since he can remember, he can see the souls of the dearly departed. So Ichigo lives with his dad and two young sisters after his mother passed away. Lately, he is seeing more spirits than ever before. Nearby, a news report indicates an explosion. Ichigo goes to check it out and comes face to face with a hollow. We will explain more about these later, and of course Rukia does slay the hollow. Later on, she hops into Ichigo's room. Joining Ichigo, she realizes that he can, of course, see her. She tells him that she is a Soul Reaper and has come from Soul Society to deal with the Hollows. These are monsters who attack living and dead to devour their souls. Another Hollow, as you see, takes Ichigo's sister, and Rukia does get knocked down. She is in a very tight pinch here against this hollow that has just got basically Ichigo's sisters. So now with Ichigo's sister in his hand and Rukia not being able to fend off the hollow, Rukia gets knocked down, thus running her sword through Ichigo's chest. She says, "Would you like to become a Soul Reaper?" He said he's got no other choice. Let's do it, turning him into a substitute Soul Reaper. So now, looking very cool with his large Zombok toe, Rukia's like, wow. He's like, "You will pay to the Hollow for messing with my family." And of course, Rukia is drained of her powers. She is very shocked as she only wanted to give him half of her powers, but has given him all of her powers instead. Thus leads on to the next chapter. So Rukia, using a special piece of equipment, has changed the family's memories after last night, and now Ichigo attends school the following morning. Everyone thinks that a truck ran into his house, but indeed it was in fact the Hollow. Later on, we are introduced to Orihime and Tatsuki, some of Ichigo's friends. Later on, Chad makes an appearance, followed by Rukia. And obviously, in the school uniform, Ichigo is very shocked. She is a transfer student, but obviously we know she's really here because she's lost her powers. So Rukia can't go back to the Soul Society at the moment, as all her powers were absorbed by Ichigo. She is now in a human body called a Gigai, and until they come back, she pushes Ichigo's Soul Reaper body out and says Ichigo must cover for her as a substitute Soul Reaper. Them two have a bit of a quarrel, and then of course Ichigo has made up his mind and takes the Hollows down, doing his duty as a Soul Reaper. Now in other news, as we shift our attention over to Orihime, her brother's spirit, who has been watching over her for quite some time, has manifested and turned into a hollow. What will happen in this next chapter? Well, a lot actually does happen in this next chapter. For a start, Chad meets a bird that's been trapped in a cage, who is a spirit, and is with Rukia. She can see the hollow, but can't do much to it as her powers have drained. Chad, being so strong, manages to hit the hollow in Rukia's direction, and thus they do take him down. Well, not quite. They did do a good job, but as you guessed it, the hero shows up and Ichigo takes down the last finishing blow on the Shrieker hollow and frees the bird's soul, making it a very happy little soul, and it returns actually to the Soul Society. So after losing her powers, Rukia is following Ichigo around left, right and centre. She's actually living in his closet, and Ichigo did get a big surprise about that. However, through following Ichigo around, she noticed something after Orihime. Obviously, it's her brother who passed away 3 years ago and has now turned into a hollow. Ichigo goes back home. Tatsuki and Orihime have dinner. Over at Ichigo's, we notice that the hollow of Orihime's brother comes and attacks Ichigo. He manages to wound it, and the hollow, in fact, does retreat. Where's it gone? Yeah, it's retreated over to Orihime's. So on his way to Orihime's, and her brother has appeared in front of her, telling her that he wants her to come back with him. But obviously she refuses, and thus Ichigo finally does appear. He cuts a bit more of the hollow mask away, and the brothers come to his senses. While under his senses and not in a desperate rage, he manages to thrust Ichigo's sword through him, and thus goes down and takes him out. So it's a good ending. In the end, the brother says, "I love you" to Orihime. Orihime says the same back. And it's quite sad, but good at the same time. In need of certain Soul Reaper supplies, Rukia heads out to Urahara's shop, where the owner, Kisuke Urahara, is a mysterious guy. She picks up her order, which includes a little tiny pill, which does force the soul out of the user's body. So say if Ichigo had it, it would basically turn him into Soul Reaper straight away. But of course, when Rukia gives it to Ichigo, a completely different Ichigo starts to run amok. This guy's name is Cone. So at first, Cone does seem like a terrible person, but in fact he is quite funny. Ichigo and Rukia set out in search of him. While Cone loves the women, he actually does go to Ichigo's school and tries to chat a lot of them up. However, Rukia does get an order, and her cell phone battery has died. They must attend to a hollow. So they hop on over and take it down, leaving Ichigo's body, Cone, on the loose. A few hacks and slashes later, and the hollow is taken down. Ichigo wants his body back, and thus does see Cone. Yes, he was troubled by the hollow and tried to actually save people from it. Kisuke turns up and thus does take the mod soul pill out of Cone, and Ichigo returns to his body. Kisuke is like, "I want to destroy it," and Ichigo says, "No, you're not going to destroy it," and takes it back, and well, thus the real Cone has been born. So now, even more in love with the ladies, Cone is in a teddy bear, and anytime Ichigo will need to use Cone, well, he'll pull out the soul and obviously use him. But then again, of course, Ichigo doesn't know what Cone's going to be doing, but Cone is a nice guy and quite hilarious, and they become quite close friends indeed. The 17th of June is the anniversary of Ichigo's mother's death, and on every 17th of June, well, the Kurosaki family drops everything to pay respects at her grave. Ichigo did intend to take the day off from his Soul Reaper duties, but finds Rukia waiting for him at the cemetery. When Rukia learns of how Ichigo's mother died, Rukia suggests that perhaps a hollow who came after him was the one who killed her. Refusing to listen to her, Ichigo runs off. Just then, a Soul Reaper named Saido appears to take Rukia back to the Soul Society. However, he didn't manage to take Rukia back to the Soul Society, as the Grand Fisher appears and takes him down. Now it's up to Ichigo, the Grand Fisher, a hollow. He uses his lore to seek humans with high spiritual energy. Ichigo finds out that it was him down by the river all them years ago who did kill his mum. He is shocked by the sight and, well, in rage and disbelief, he attacks the Grand Fisher, but losing his calm, It makes Ichigo an easy target. Rukia does come to his rescue and is barely a match for the Hollow in her weakened form. However, they do manage to pull it back and strike and stay cool. The Grand Fisher now has an injury and retreats for the time being. Ichigo sees this as a way to get stronger and to one day avenge his mother by taking down the Grand Fisher. Meet Uryu, the last of the remaining Quincy's and also Ichigo's schoolmate. He challenges Ichigo to a hollow slaying competition. These two have a passion that they don't like each other, and he wants to prove he is better than a Soul Reaper. So Uryu calls out all these hollows and Ichigo thinks it's crazy. So many hollows are appearing over the city and it turns our attention to Chad. Chad is with Ichigo's sister and tries to help her from a hollow attack. Unfortunately, it doesn't work and he wants to get stronger, thus unlocking Chad's new power. He is now able to see him and is granted power in his right arm. Further on, Orihime is out with Tatsuki and Tatsuki is being attacked by hollows too. The hollow is controlling Tatsuki. Orihime doesn't like it. She says thank you Tatsuki for protecting me up until now and also wants to get stronger. So basically she's in a tight spot against this hollow, but look at this. She also unlocks her powers and then protects Tatsuki. So Ichigo's friends and their powers are finally starting to be awakened and she takes the hollow down. As the battle between Ichigo and Uryu continues, it is revealed that Uryu is one of the few living Quincy's. The Quincy's and Soul Reapers have a long-running rivalry that resulted in the near annihilation of the Quincy's, with the hollow attacks ever increasing and the appearance of a dreaded Menace Grande. Ichigo and Uryu are forced to put their differences aside to save the town. Rukia begins to worry that news of Ichigo's battle with the Menace Grande will attract the attention of the Soul Society, so she writes a letter and decides to run away, but not before getting caught by Renji Abarai. He is the lieutenant of the 6th squad, and in Soul Society they have squads with lieutenants and captain. These two have known each other for a very, very long time, and now Renji has come to take Rukia back to Soul Society. Rukia then meets her brother, Byakuya Kuchiki, who is the captain of the 6th squad. Meanwhile, back in Ichigo's house, Kon is worried and he tells Ichigo that she has tied him up behind the toilet in fact, and left a letter. Ichigo has no time to waste and decides to go after Rukia. Will this be enough and will he get there in time to be able to save Rukia from being taken back to the Soul Society, or will her brother prevail and take her back to Soul Society? As we continue onwards, Uryu decides to help out and obviously going against Renji, he falls. It's such a shame, but on the last strike, Ichigo shows up and now is here to save the day. He fights against Renji and this battle's looking really tough. Renji pulls out a few moves and it isn't looking too good for Ichigo. Renji then asks Ichigo what is his Zanpakuto's name. Ichigo laughs and doesn't really see a Zanpakuto's name. Renji says roar Zabimaru and his Zanpakuto comes to life. But Ichigo perseveres and manages to take Renji, putting him on the edge. Just as Ichigo is about to deliver a finishing blow to Renji, Byakuya Kuchiki steps in and cuts Ichigo down, as well as his Zanpakuto. Thus, they succeed and take Rukia back to Soul Society. Ichigo is barely breathing, then Kisuke Urahara shows up. After resting for a few days, he explains to Ichigo that if he can just give him 10 days in training, well, he'll be able to go to the Soul Society to rescue Rukia. Rukia has been sentenced to execution and Ichigo accepts taking on Kisuke Urahara's training and hopefully he will master it. Kisuke tells Ichigo that every Zanpakuto has a name. His one is called Benihime the Red Princess, and now he is fighting Ichigo. The final test, Kisuke versus Ichigo. So, what are they going to do? Well, Ichigo is hearing a voice. Can he call out his Zanpakuto's name? He keeps saying it's pathetic, pathetic, pathetic. And then the voice, of course, says, that's you. Why are you running away? And of course, that Ichigo still hasn't called him. The Zanpakuto and Ichigo begin to merge, and he says, face him, advance, and finally, shout out my name. And thus, yes he does, Zangetsu is Ichigo's Zanpakuto. Then the spirit energy comes, he shouts out the name, there he is, and he also knocks out Kisuke's hat. So now Kisuke, pleased with Ichigo's work, decides to introduce Ichigo to his friends. Yes, Ichigo's friends have been right behind him, supporting him and developing new powers too. There is the gate that leads to the Soul Society. Thus, Orihime, Chad, Uryu, they will be going to help Ichigo get Rukia back and rescue her from execution. As well as that, there is a little black cat called Yoruichi, which is a long-time friend of Kisuke's and very experienced in terms of battling and helpful news around the Soul Society. So the cat that talks will be going with them too. What adventures await them? Well, that's going to be done in Season 2. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this. If you did enjoy it, give us a thumbs up and let us know if you want to see more. I have been Apps Gaming. Until the next time, it is peace out from me.